Hello, and welcome. Chase and Corey here with Curveballs and Curveballs.
Both
Where
of us
are
in
we
people
tonight?
We are at Texas Live at Lockhart Barbecue, sipping on some Lone Stars.
Good old Texas Live in Arlington. This is episode 50 redone. We had a really good episode recorded, but the magic of Ringer did not work out for us. Chase was in Oklahoma. I was at a bar at Grub in Dallas. We were yelling at each other, and then it all disappeared.
It just went away.
Sometimes things suck, and we got to redo it. But back then we were talking.
Thanks, Mom and Dad, with your cheap ass internet.
Back then we were talking about how. Let's see, Clayton Kershaw had just. Red Sox had just won the World Series. Clayton Kershaw had just re-signed. We were talking about the free agents. We were talking about the Rangers, how they had just hired a new manager. We were going through all that. Well, all of that has been lost to the annals of the interwebs.
The annals? I think it's annals.
Annals.
But, hey,
I say it however I want. We're doing it live.
It's in the annals of the internet.
So here we are re-recording, but today is a great day to re-record because
dark web shit.
It's this Thursday afternoon, and Eric Nadell's over there signing his book, the one, the only, Eric Nadell. You would know him if you listen to the Rangers on the radio, and you would know him if you listen to episode 47 of our podcast.
Or if you've gone to the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, right. He's there,
see
too.
him there.
He's everywhere. Everybody knows him. He's a wonderful dude. And so we came out because he has a book full of limericks. He's been, if you listen to his radio broadcast, always at the end of the game or before the game or whenever, he throws out his limerick, maybe if it gets boring, the Rangers are losing 9-1.
Right.
And it's boring, and it is a limerick time, and they do a little rhyme. It's baseball themed, and we're going to talk about, the player of the game or something random about Jared Sandler or whatever.
Yes.
So I don't think we ever got a limerick, although he says it's a wonderful podcast. We didn't get a limerick. That would have immortalized us in his book.
It would have.
He would have said.
It would have been the best moment of his life. It would have been
Chase and Corey with their shitty audio setup came into my home, and I recorded a podcast with them. God bless them.
Thank
That's
God
not
they
a
didn't
limerick,
come back
but
and steal my shit.
That's not a limerick.
It was a second printing? Awesome.
Man, you got to put in a word. Okay, so that's enough intro. Today we have with us the illustrator of said limericks.
Are we saying that right? Limericks?
Limerick. Whatever.
Limericks.
Right. So, he obviously had a big deal with this book. There's a lot of cool stuff in there.
Yes.
Introduce yourself. Holler at us. Our listeners. It was great to meet you.
Fantastic to meet you boys. First on Insta, I think. Now in the flesh.
Yes.
I'm sorry? Go ahead and put the mic up there. Oh, right on. Okay.
This is like a fucking Borat thing, dude.
Did y'all catch I said sorry?
Yeah,
okay,
sorry. Are you Canadian?
Man, no, I am. I'm a native Dallasite, born and raised here.
Yeah.
So I've been watching the Rangers since they wore baby blue uniforms.
How did you meet Eric?
Right, through a mutual friend, Maureen Womack, Rabbit Hat Marketing, and we've known each other for a long time, and Eric has known her on kind of his music appreciation or aficionado side.
Right.
He is a diverse cat. I mean, he's got this other side in Americana and stuff like this, and so he started writing these limericks, as you boys know, probably in mid-May because the season was pretty long already.
Yeah, I'm a man.
So you're the baby.
He's the baby.
And I'm the great grandpa.
Yes.
And Eric is the wizard.
And I'm glad we got all of the picture. Glad we got the family picture together too.
Yeah. No, that was good. Good stuff.
I already got him in the message. I already slid in his DMs.
I'm gonna plug my name. My name is Arthur James. Yeah. It didn't make the cover, and guess
it's in page 3.
Page 3. I made page 3, baby. We're doing something now.
So you were talking about how, Eric Nadell, he really is into the music scene. He's very well educated on all that. I think there's this 18-year-old musician, and I've seen him at Granada, but hell if I remember his name. But he was opening at the AAC.
Okay.
And it's
Elton John. He opened up there the other day.
No, he was opening for that, I believe.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I could scroll through Twitter, but I saw that on Twitter. Like, they're talking about how
And the girl, he always has that one. I can't think of her name either. He's got the one girl that he's really been pushing lately.
Well, he has been talking about the Nora Jones, the new Nora Jones.
Yeah, he calls her the new Nora Jones. Yes.
Man, if only I mentioned that. He's got such a...
Well, hey, let's not focus on Eric. Let's focus on Arthur.
Right.
We focused on a whole goddamn episode of Eric.
So, all right. So, like Art said, he's... Here,
so, Arthur, did you get drawn to art because of... Did they call you Art growing up?
Sorry. It's Parker Millsap.
Parker
Millsap is the guy. He's a great musician, and he was hollering about him on Twitter. This is good stuff. He knows a lot, and we got into that when we recorded with Eric. We talked about baseball. We talked about what he's working on with mental illness. We talked about all sorts of good stuff, and music and Brooklyn food, and it's like. The whole span. It was wonderful. Maybe next year we'll do another because there's just so much to talk about with that guy.
So let's. What about you? So when did you get into art? When did it start?
How long have you been illustrating books? Right.
Books in particular, kind of off and on for the past 10 years. Really I guess I did an early baseball book for Chronicle, but it was really a companion piece that. A parent, a father or mother with their kid would take, and this is pre-internet, really, honestly, or right before. So it came with like a Ziploc bag and pencils, and you took the stats down old school.
Oh, nice.
That was a ways back, but I really do all kinds of illustration and fine art, from periodicals, magazines to stuff you've seen on billboards, and also animation, some spots for. DirecTV and stuff like that.
So outside of this book, what would you say would be like the one big thing in your? Is this your biggest new thing? Is this your biggest project right now?
It's for sure been the biggest project. Both. I'm very, very proud of this, and this has truly been a labor of love for both he and I, because I think what Eric kind of doesn't say enough about, at least early on, is he wrote this during the season, and it was born out of kind of a struggling, we were already struggling in May, and so he was coming up with some antidotes, and it wound up catching fire by the fans.
Right.
The fans just reacted and took to it, and so he started, actually read them in the 8th inning. And he started accumulating these things and became very popular, and he's talking to Maureen Womack, who I mentioned, one of his friends, and he's like, I think by the end of the season I'll have 150 of these things if I do them every... And she said, well, you need an illustrator. And so she hooked us up and just kind of, he sent me some of his limericks. He sent me the Hex. He sent me the Chipotle. You'll see him inside of there. I don't know if that one came later. And I basically tried out for him. I did some sketches in his words and my pencils, just hit it off. And so we were rocking and rolling a couple weeks later. Nice.
So is this the style of art that you typically do, or is this kind of a different path that you take in?
Well, yeah. I mean, I kind of have a wide range, but this is definitely the kind of editorial style. It's in black and white,
right?
So. I'm rendering players' faces, and they were great, by the way. They all got to see their face, in pencil form, and Eric could show other coaches that they would play that I drew. But I wanted it to be kind of to match the humor and the observations and the wit. So it's got a little a cartoon kind of editorial.
It's very like old school, like newspaper cartoon, like a political cartoon type style.
Yeah, let's just open up. I open up to the middle, and he's talking about the trapezoid. So, page 49, if you want to look at it, Chase. So we got this beautiful full-page drawing, illustration that it's inside Joey Gallo's head, and we got Joey making funny faces that all Joey Gallo does. If you don't know him for his baseball, you know him for his funny faces. If you don't know him, then you don't follow baseball. It's okay. But we've got the Mariners, the head... line trapezoid. The Mariners used a 4-man trapezoid defense on the right side of the field against Joey Gallo. And as that corresponds, because Joey Gallo is a left-handed pull hitter. And so the limerick goes, the M's employ a trapezoid against Joe so they can avoid a hard hit to right. Now, night after night, I bet Joey's getting annoyed. Right? And that's just perfect. It just rolls right off the tongue, and it talks about the shift.
Right.
The shift in baseball is what everybody is spilling ink over all season long, right?
Get rid of it. Get rid of it.
You know, it's immortal. You know, we got a little limerick about the shift.
Yeah, no, and it was spot on because it's just everyone's talking about that. And what's funny is when I did the sketch and it came time to actually put it in the book, and then I came back and did all the paintings. Eric took this really seriously. He said, "Hey, you got the trapezoid wrong. You got to move this player over here. You got to, hey, could you inch the guy off a second? You know, maybe about 3 feet." And I'm like, "Eric, these are doodles." And he's like, No. But people, he knew that people that would buy this book and appreciate it, you get the trapezoid right for crying out loud, you damn artist. So, you know.
Well, I mean, apparently people don't think about that because we showed you Corey's fucked up hat that the Frisco Rough Riders have been selling for 5 years now.
You need to.
Yeah, merchandise. We talked to the merchandise lady. Met her at one of the games because we would go out and do podcasting, and she didn't recognize it.
Oh no! I mean, what's that been around for 10 years? I mean,
it's been around for. I think I moved to Dallas in 2014, and that was the first year they released it. So we're going on 5 years. 5 years.
Right on. Well, you have my respect as a visualist.
And no anatomy.
Yeah,
right?
Right.
So what's the plan here? Is there more? So you said there's a reprint maybe?
I'm sorry?
You said there's going to be a second. Is there like a second edition?
I think Eric has sworn off limericks for the nearest future.
Okay.
However, the fans have not. The fans are already asking for a second one, truthfully, and they're asking him, obviously, if he's going to pick this back up during the season again. And I think right now he's taking a break. You know, but I think the fans are going to rear up and demand, because these things became very popular. One thing I want to tell you that Eric was so great, he brought me in the booth one time, and I got to see a game, and it just happened to be when Bartolo broke the record.
Oh, nice.
So it was great. It was
we love Bartolo.
Right. And I drew the right straw, I guess. And what was cool is I actually painted the Bartolo, one of them. There were several renderings in there.
Yes.
The one he breaks it. I drew it live right there, sitting in between he and Matt. And then I had a little light table, and I brought my inks and my little ink pen, and I painted it like sweating because we had to get it out by the 8th inning. I think we were late that day and got out on the 9th. And we probably did, Tim, I called them live limericks.
Yes.
A lot where I would be at my house, but I'm listening and watching.
Right.
And he'd say, "Okay, this is my limerick. What do you think?" And I get to painting, and he would say, "Okay, it's coming up. Arthur's going to hit a limerick." So it was a lot of dog and pony. That was a lot of fun.
So one question I want to ask you. So you brought in to paint or draw your favorite broadcast booth that you've ever, of the great baseball broadcasters. Does Eric Nadel line up in that?
Now,
so if you were put in the back of a booth and they said draw the best broadcast team you could ever come up with, who would you draw in that?
You're a local, and you know Chase is like a Sox fan, a Cubs fan, so he's thinking of all the great announcers. But like, where do you put Eric? And have you met some other announcers and stuff?
No, I personally have not met any other announcers, but I can answer your question correctly. Okay. And coincidentally, they're both in the book. Vin Scully, for me, is just the voice that I've always heard, and he's my favorite forever.
Right.
Interestingly enough, if you're old enough like I am, and you're born and raised here, my first introduction to baseball was from my granddaddy setting up 2 hammocks in old school style with a transistor radio in the backyard. And these were Eric's first years.
Oh, wow.
Rolling, doing the broadcast in '79. So in the early '80s, I was listening to him, unbeknownst, do his broadcast. And then by the, I said '80s, right?
Yeah.
By the early '90s, we had season tickets for about four years, and then half season tickets the next year. And we'd listen to him pregame, get into the stadium, maybe having a little beer,
right?
And certainly the postgame show. And just his the crazy get up.
See, I think a great game would be where a team is down like 19-2, and you've got Eric Nadel and you've got Bob Uecker in the booth.
Oh, wonderful! Yeah, Eric is silky and smooth,
and Bob Uecker just comes in and totally screws that up for it because he just drops these one-liners.
It'd be a great mashup. I love that idea.
I think we got to work on that because then Joe Buck. I know he's in the book. Yes. I'll rip that page out.
Editorial.
Yeah.
Boom, boom,
Yeah. But Vin Scully turned down working with Joe Buck during the World Series. They offered to bring him into the booth, and he was like, nah.
I think the point is Chase doesn't ever want to let his daughter see that. Like the whole Joe Buck
I don't want her
stuff.
to see Joe Buck.
It's not about that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
back in the 60s, that would be considered pornographic,
So, Arthur James, thank you so much for joining us. If you have other things to do, we'll let you get on. If you want to sit here for the rest of the 20 minutes or whatever we're doing, sit here and enjoy, right? So, it's just, I think it's a super cool book. Absolutely, just flipping through it. Immediately, I'm drawn to it. And it's relevant, It's not, it's about Odor's on a hot streak. It's about Gallo. It's about not baseball. And that was the thing, that was actually something that we talked about with Eric when we got to interview him, is what do you do when the season sucks? And he said, and he drew upon, as a kid, I'm listening to the Mets broadcasts, and the Mets were terrible, but the announcer sure did not let you know that. And that was the beauty. That's what he drew upon, is that he could say, maybe the Mets won 50 games that year, but you thought that every single player had something amazing about them. And the announcers would tell you and bring you into it, and you would just close your eyes and you would think, damn, he's going to get a home run because this guy is on a streak. And you would think, there's nothing. This guy has incredible range. And this pitcher, that changeup can really sit some hitters down. And it was irregardless of if the total package was terrible that year. But the announcer could paint everything just right. And that's the job. It's not about the X's and O's. It's about the feelings that you can create with your audience.
Yeah, let me say something to that. I think I knew this before Eric and I met, but seeing him in action and talking to him, what you really realize is there's an artist up in that booth, and he's painting a picture in words. He's truly, not to be corny, but he's truly illustrating it and filling it out. And whether it's the color of the blue sky to the clouds, the smell of the grass, he is describing all these sensory things that we all love about the game.
Right.
We go to the game, we absorb it. I mean, it's...
Well, and that was when we had him on the show. The thing I wanted him to do was... So me, driving down the road, because I'd be getting off work, I'd catch those Rangers games right there at the beginning. That first description of the pitchers on the mound always fascinated me.
Yep.
Or even before that, I can't tell you, several times he's talked about the sunset that's happening.
Yes.
And immediately I'm in my car and I'm like, I need to look, check it out between the buildings, figure this out. It's a beautiful sunset over there.
But no, that's the thing that I noticed is I wanted him, I was like, hey, I'm going to do some things. I want you to describe what we're doing right now, because he just has a way of, exactly what he's saying. And I think this right here, this book, just reading the things so far and just the way that you drew some of them on the fly while listening to it, I think is fucking amazing. He was like, he's a little bit chubby. He's wearing a hoodie in the middle of summer. He's drinking a cold one. That's how it went. And to me, it's like,
brilliant.
He talked about his skinny ass jeans.
So he basically kicked you guys in the balls a little bit.
Yeah. So basically, we're going to take this clip. We're going to send it over to you. We want you to illustrate us in live time, and that's going to be the intro to our show.
That's coming your way, boys.
It's coming our way.
I promise you that.
So, thank you. Do you have anything else that's going on your agenda?
I just want to say pleasure meeting you guys, and it's been my honor to work with Eric and to kind of be his other side of his brain, to kind of take his illustrations of the word, if you will,
right,
and put them to pictures. So And to that end, I'm going to do that for you guys, too.
Sounds like an amazing thing.
We'll
awesome, Arthur. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Give it up for Arthur. Give it up for Art. He's the art behind this book.
Arthur James, dude. Arthur
badass. James. That was wonderful.
Texas.
Lim Eric. Everybody's going to go buy it on Amazon.
Dude,
Lim
I think it's
Eric.
$18 on there.
Yeah. Limericks by Eric and Adele.
Be checking it out, too, because he should be doing a lot of book signings here he's done several of them. He's out right now signing shit.
Yeah, come over to Texas Live. You know, he's sitting there, and I think we're about to buy him another tequila. That's his drink of choice.
So
he's looking kind of lonely over there, to be
Boston
honest.
Red Sox fucking champs. Let's talk about that.
Okay, that's over
Boston
and done
Red
with.
Sox fucking champs.
Yes,
done, over and done with.
Sox
sad thing, though, on both sides
there. I just said National Tequila Day. Did you know that on July 24th, it was National?
It was
National Tequila Day.
I bet Eric knew that before you did.
And he wrote a limerick on National Tequila Day. The A's just would not go away. We were leading by 8, but then
Jesus Christ,
lost
the boner you
late.
have for this.
Do I need a shot? Well, I may. So yeah, Eric likes some tequila, and that's all for that today.
Here's the thing: is
I feel like that could be an episode, is us just reading these and talking about shit.
No, it would be great.
It would work.
But here is one sad thing. Mike Napoli announced he is retiring from baseball.
What's sadder than Mike Napoli retiring? Okay, talk about Mike Napoli.
Mike Napoli. He played with the Rangers during their runs for the World Series. He got his World Series with the Boston Red Sox. Had an ACL tear during spring training. I guess got healed up, whatnot. Kind of looked at things and said that he's calling it quits. So I figured that was a great thing for both of us to talk about. Rangers fan. He was honestly one of my favorite Rangers that I've personally watched. In my later.
No, and he had the power stroke, and everybody loves chicks dig the long ball.
Oh
right?
yeah,
like that kind of thing of hey, it's a big burly dude with a beard hitting home runs, right? And that's why people love Mike Napoli.
I think people don't embrace. He was a catcher and a damn good catcher,
right?
And he embraced the entire. People give first baseman fucking shit because it's supposed to be
where you can hide a bad defender kind of thing.
But the fact that he took on that role, embraced it, completely lost his identity.
Well, speaking of lost, he did play in left field one time, and
and he made that one catch.
No, he made that one non-catch. There was a little bit of running around in left field.
Yeah, I mean you can't put a chubby dude out in left field. Like that's just not how it works.
We were just experimenting with lineups, Wash, right?
So we've got free agents. We're done with winter meetings. Where are we at, Corey?
Well, we're talking about other retirements, right? Who's on the
the captain?
Yeah,
Adrian Beltre. He gone.
Adrian Beltre. I feel like that's a little bit of a. I think he gone is not quite reserved for Adrian Beltre.
I mean, Adrian Beltre. I feel like Adrian Beltre would be the kind of guy that would appreciate that.
Maybe. We'll have to talk to Emily Jones about whether or not he would appreciate that. So
we've talked about it all year, and I think it was very evident.
And you were quite confident, actually, when we recorded the first time we tried, that he was never going to come back from his island paradise kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. You get old, you love it, and you realize you just really don't want to try again. You don't want to go away from the Rangers, and I think that's what he said. Absolutely, these were very, very wonderful years for him, and he had with the Rangers. I think a total of 5-ish.
He had 8 years.
Did he have 8?
He had 8 years.
I forget before the contract. I always think of he had that 3-year deal and then a little bit more. And I think
he had 8 total
years.
Chuck Morgan made a really good post about him.
And they were wonderful years, and he enjoyed it. Truly, he enjoyed the organization, and so he wasn't gonna go off to the Dodgers. And he said, hey, I don't think it's going to be great. I'm probably going to get hurt again, kind of thing. I'm just going to call it quits. And for anybody who never read, Levi Weaver wrote about how Adrian Beltre called up John Daniels. And he texted him up and he said, hey, I got something important to talk about, so let's do this. And so he called him up. He said, John, I think I've got to deal with the Dodgers. I'm going to play with the Dodgers next year. Sorry, man. And then John was kind of like, trying to find his words, and Adrian just starts cracking up, and he says, I got you, just kidding. I'm retiring.
Yeah, there you go.
And, no, that's he he can never not play a prank.
Right.
He's just a fun dude.
He was the guy that, he was good. He knew he was good.
Right.
But he knew it was fun.
Oh, yeah. And I think he would never not have a fun day. And regardless, of how he's feeling, and it's well documented what he played through. But sometimes it's just the right time to call it quits, and I think this was the right time, and he's going to hang up those cleats.
Right. No, and it was a great career. It was a great career. I'm glad he got his 3,000 hits this season. It was one of the highlights that you could look at. It was kind of one of those things that, going back to the Eric Nadel episode where we talked about his stuff that, you have to find the little things in the season where, to have a positive thing. And it was positive to watch him. I feel like, honestly, for the kind of player that Adrian Beltre is and how much fun he has, maybe a season like this wasn't a bad season to go out on.
Right.
He was able to, relax, have fun, knew they weren't in a race. They knew they weren't going anywhere with it. So, able to just have fun and enjoy that last summer in the sun. And it's a great thing. Adrian Beltre, one of the greatest people, that iconic, one knee, the home run off the knee, the great thing. In fact, while we were riding out here today, I played the old walk-up song for Adrian Beltre in the deal. But, yeah, a great player. I think definitely we'll see him popping up somewhere in a front office position with some team.
If he wants that. And, maybe he just wants time with his family. It remains to be seen. But I think
he would be a great person for international players.
Oh, and a great PR person. Oh, yeah. Just a wonderful person to interject energy constantly into your organization.
Right.
We can't do it due diligence. He's a guy that nobody ever forgets, and us spewing a couple words is not going to do it justice.
No.
So let's move on a little bit and cover what we were talking about a few weeks back when we tried to record about free agency, right?
Yes.
So let's roll through. It is hot stove season.
Yes.
In the MLB.
And it's a little hotter this year than it was last year.
A little bit, for sure. Just now, I think Ken Rosenthal tweeted about Daniel Murphy being signed by the Rockies.
Yes.
It looks like it's a done deal. He's kind of way down on my list. So I had a list of top 25 or something free agents, and Bryce Harper and Manny Machado are still definitely unsigned.
Machado's in Philly today checking things out.
And that would make sense. And look at what the Phillies who did the Phillies sign? Andrew McCutchen?
Yes.
3 years, 50 mil. And the Phillies, did they sign a pitcher? Was there anything notable else? I
haven't seen much on the Philly front.
So and Bryce Harper turned down his qualifying offer from the Nationals, and they offered him a lot of money, but he doesn't want to be there. We saw it on the Instagram post before. The Nationals did sign Patrick Corbin, top free agent pitcher on the market, coming from Arizona. The Nationals signed him $23 million a year, 6 years. Then we got the Atlanta Braves signed Josh Donaldson for a year. The Houston Astros, I think they who was that outfielder they lost? But they signed Michael Brantley. I get you. Well, Chase might have to run away, but I mean, if Chase wants me to run through all the free agency and bullshit about it,
you run through the free agency real quick.
Chase has got to take. You know how sometimes those football players they run to the locker room on their own. There's no trainer following them, and you're like, was that an injury, or was that just the player needed? He just needed to take a bathroom break. It's all good. He's just running in, running out. Okay. That's what's happening. Bathroom break here. Chase has been drinking a little bit much, right? So, and then Clayton Kershaw, we know that he re-signed 3 years, $93 million with the Dodgers. So that was the top two pitchers, Clayton Kershaw, Patrick Corbin, Dallas Keuchel's still unsigned. He's a top tier pitcher. And then we roll to we got to go down to Nathan Eovaldi, right? Boston's the Red Sox have re-signed him. $17 million a year. Charlie Morton signed with the Tampa Bay Rays. Craig Kimbrell is unsigned. And then, let's see, you go down a little bit. Andrew McCutchen got not long, but 3 years is kind of long in baseball world now. So he got 3 years, $50 million with the Phillies, like we mentioned. And then Nelson Cruz, he's still unsigned. We got Monty Grandal. He's still unsigned. A.J. Pollock, center fielder for the Diamondbacks. He's still unsigned. There's definitely a lot still out there. I think this is a good moment for me to mention Lance Lynn because that asshole who has a history from when he was 19, 20 years old of maybe laying hands on a woman. And I say maybe as in not maybe, as in really, he's the kind of guy that you don't want to get in an argument with if you're having a bad relationship with him. Lance Lynn, go suck it. We're talking about Lance Lynn, the asshole. But anyway, the Rangers have signed him, so we got three. We're gonna, that's just a tease. That's a tease of how I really feel about Lance Lynn. But 3 years, $30 million. We're gonna ignore the person behind it, and I would say that was a perfectly good. Everybody wants to bullshit about John Daniels as a GM, but what he does is he says, okay, do we need pitchers? Yes. Why do we need pitchers? Because we don't want our young minor league prospects thrown into the majors yet when they're not ready.
Right.
So we need some veteran guys, and the Rangers have a bunch of 30-year-olds pitching this year. We need them to eat up some innings, get us through one more year because we're not good yet, and then we're going to have, maybe one or two more, Joe Palumbo, maybe, Cole, Reagan, the draft picks. The Rangers have a lot of those and from the past, and then you slowly build them in, right? But this year is not the year, right? So maybe we're going to bring in Derek Holland. Dutch Oven, Derek Holland is talking with the Rangers. He might get brought back. It would be a low money thing, and we're just going to see what we can do, get through another year, and Lance Lynn can be a perfectly, good starter for us, and $10 million a year is definitely not too much at all. So I think we got Chase back. He doesn't care about talking about Lance Lynn, I guess.
No, I mean, this is a big time for me to watch, where things are going, who's signing who, what teams to look forward to. I think Phillies are going to be an interesting one. I think the Phillies bringing the manager back, as we talked in one of the previous episodes, was pretty interesting because I don't think there's a lot of guys out there that really want to fucking play for that guy.
Gabe Kapler, right?
Yeah, he's, everybody hated him there for a while. Then, he got on a tear. Then it was like, we can forgive that. And then towards the end of the season, it's just like, dude, what are you doing here?
But here's the thing. You got to really fuck up to get fired after 1 year. I think he just avoided that.
Yes.
Just beyond the, total screw up and you're gone after a year. No, they're gonna give him a chance. He has to grow into his role. He's got to figure shit out.
It was, I think and this season's moving a lot quicker. And there's been talks where there's ownership. Some people in the GMs and stuff, they want a rule change to where these signings need to happen before a certain time because they can start working their other angles or whatnot.
Right.
So they're wanting these big name players to come off early.
But it's all a waiting game. Everybody's saying where's the shoe's going to drop, and who's going to set the market with Bryce Harper, and then everything else can sign in. Like, you're this much less than Bryce Harper are. We're gonna create this contract for you. Well, there's not.
Right.
The leading guys aren't signed, right?
Right.
And that was last year. There weren't going to be the long-term contracts, and this year we're talking. You got a pitcher, 6 years, $140 million. Well, before you think of A-Rod, decades ago, A-Rod was 10 for $250 million.
Yeah.
Now, 6 for $140 is a ginormous deal.
Oh yeah, that's a lot of money. No, and I think,
but it's like half of before, right?
Right, and I think we're going to start seeing things like that change in the with the culture, with the ideas for new age management. Right. I think it's
because we're talking about $300 million for Bryce Harper,
right,
or more,
right,
a bit more maybe. If you talk about Bryce Harper, you want to
MLB The Show 19 this year. Doesn't have a jersey for first jerseyless player to be on the cover.
You think about you're talking like 10 years, $350 million maybe.
Yeah,
that would be the kind of contract.
He wants $300 million.
That would be the kind of contract that Scott Boras is pushing for.
Oh yeah,
but it's just not happening. There's so much more restraint in the MLB market now.
Right, and I think Machado, honestly, the shit show that Machado was
a shit show, but he might actually be the better player over these contracts.
Yeah, but I think
he could be
his
slightly
stock
better.
has gone down.
Well, yeah,
in
money
everything
wise
that happened. Yeah,
and I don't want him on my team.
right.
But he
I don't want him in our fucking country. If you want me to be real fucking honest with you.
But if you're talking about over the next 10 years, over your career, Machado could have more hits and home runs than Harper for the rest of his year.
Right.
If the
Rukatan Eagles of the Japanese League want to pick him up, that'd be fucking great. Get him out of here. We don't want that shit. That isn't baseball.
Yeah.
That's pussy-ass Bush League.
Some of the guys you thought of, Joe Kelly, right? So
Joe Kelly to L.A.?
He was throwing eighth inning, getting the Dodgers, sending them home in the World Series, right? Now he plays for the Dodgers.
98 to 101 and every fucking pitch.
Now he's 3 years, $25 million with the Dodgers.
Dude's a fucking beast. Yeah, he almost missed the World Series. He almost missed the playoff roster. He had a bad slump there towards the end of the season. Yeah. Numbers weren't there. Alex Cora wrote it out, said, I believe in you. Here's where we're going to go with it. Dude was straight beast. This was the year of Joe Kelly. I mean, Joe Kelly fucking straight up looked at Austin from, I think it was Tyler Austin from the Yankees during the fight.
Right.
Like, come on, let's do it.
Right.
Give him the hand wave. Let's do this.
Last but not least, Ian Kinsler signed for a couple years, $8 million for the Padres.
Yeah, he's basically a player coach at this point on that. I mean, I love Ian Kinsler to death. I think Ian Kinsler is great. Does a lot of stuff still here in Dallas. But I think Ian Kinsler at this rate, older, in a spot where you're going to have the speed and the step, I think he's there to kind of get some of the younger guys. I think the way that the Padres are looking at it, you've got Grandpa Hosmer.
Oh, I bet the Padres just have a second baseman a year or two away.
Yeah.
And they're just going to wait it out. You just plug a veteran in, wait it out until you're minor.
He'll get you easily 180 to 220 on a batting average.
Yeah.
Dallas Keuchel still hasn't signed, as I was saying, and everybody else in the fucking universe except for Corey
that he's not
would be a good third or fourth starter for most teams that are looking for him.
Tier. He's still good.
I would put him as an
second
average
tier.
starter.
Whatever. He's above average. Cole Hamels was average for a while with the Rangers.
I would draft Cole Hamels before I would take. I would sign Cole Hamels before I'd sign.
I don't think
Dallas
you really
Keuchel.
looked over those
It's
stats.
the fucking tattoo, man. He got the full sleeve.
Whatever.
And he's trying to do this bad. He's not. No.
So
he needs to go back to what he was doing.
All right, let's move on from the free agency. Like we mentioned, the Rangers have a new manager, Chris Woodward.
They got a whole bunch of new fuckers on that bench.
A lot of new people in the organization. The great Jamie Newberg. He's a writer for the Newberg Report. It's his website. And
it's his last report this year. 2019 is the last published report.
I don't know about that.
It is announced on Twitter. It's his last printing of the Newberg Report.
Well, he's been writing for The Athletic. Maybe he's just tired of it.
Well, I think what happened was when he got signed on with The Athletic.
Well, you're just saying they're not going to. He's going to write for The Athletic and not do a separate.
Yeah. So the Newberg. So this year's Newberg Report is the last printing and run of the Newberg Report.
Right. So he details top 60, top 70 prospects in the Rangers organization, and I read through all his Athletic articles. I find that interesting just to have some names in my mind. And, hey, it's a slow season, and maybe it's going to pop up, hey, let's go check out a Double-A game. Let's see who got promoted from High A. Most of the Rangers' strength of their organization is in the lower levels, and we'll see who progresses. That's what a rebuild is about. You got to kind of pay attention to the minor leagues. So we're hoping Saturday morning that we should meet Jamie Newberg. I haven't met him. I don't think Chase has.
No, Corey met him because he had to apologize.
No, that was the wrong person. That was Levi.
Oh, sorry.
That was Levi Weaver, 32 EFUS. That name on Twitter, right? Jamie, he writes about minor league baseball for the Rangers, and he does a damn good job. And so he should be with Emily Jones on Saturday morning, and we should probably get to hang out with him. And you're just looking around. You're not trying to get another drink. You probably don't need a drink.
It's fucking Lockhart's at Texas Live.
So let's keep talking about the Rangers farm system, because that's what they did when they traded away Alex Claudio. He had been a very good, serviceable relief pitcher for the Rangers for a while, and the Rangers just traded him a couple days ago to the Brewers.
Yes,
they're going to get. Normally you can't trade picks in baseball.
Yes.
In football, you often trade those draft picks. In baseball, the only draft pick that you can trade is something that was supplementally given to you by MLB, and that was the Brewers had earned that from something like losing a free agent or whatever it was, or it was because they were a small market team. So they had the number 39-ish to 40 pick, and they sent that to the Rangers, and that's a pretty high pick.
Yes. Alex Claudio, though, is a very good relief pitcher.
Alex Claudio is going to be serviceable, and clearly the Brewers' window is now. They were in the playoffs. They want to strengthen that bullpen. They're all about the bullpen, right? And so they're going to add that, and he had some good times. Yes, absolutely. So they're going to send that pick to the Rangers, and I think that's a big pickup. The Rangers have the number 8 pick, the number 40 pick, the number 49 pick in June. That's a lot of top talent that they can get. And so I want to throw this to you. Is that so? Chase, if you're the Rangers and you're looking at the draft in June, knowing that your window is in about 2, so this is 2019 season coming up, right?
Right.
Not going to be good.
See, and that's the fucking thing.
Are you going to pick? Are you looking to try to pick some older guys who are more ready, maybe out of college 4 years? You give him 1 year in AA, and he's like half a year in AA, AAA, and he's ready to go in your major league. Or are you just sticking to your guns and you're picking whoever because you think that your window in 2, 3, 4 years from now, that's going to be your
draft
window?
Landscape in the past 5 years.
Do you adjust your draft philosophy?
Right. Well, but so
because you're right on the cusp.
Right,
you think you're on the cusp.
But the philosophy in drafting has changed. More 4-year university guys are coming out, getting signed. That's where they're going. They're not doing a lot of high school signings anymore, like you see.
The Rangers have been signing so many high school guys.
I understand, but as far as like how they're looking at it, I think it's going to be a completely different landscape. I think they're going to look for 4 years. The Rangers are a really weird team because it's like they sign people that are never going to be like this. Lance Lynn is going to get you 4.5, 5 innings, maybe 6 innings, which the way that pitching now is viewed in Major League Baseball, it's a little different. But he's not a long-term signing. He's not something that you can do. I know we got to wrap up, but no, he it's one of those weird random things that you sit there and you're just like, what are they doing? Because it seems like they're going for players to where it's like they think what they have right now, they can put some veteran leadership in and it work. But it's not. It's like a Lance Lynn signing is fucking stupid.
No, but I think a Lance Lynn signing is simply it. Maybe
he's not an innings eater.
Look, we need a pitcher. He's not top of the line. He's not bottom of the line. You have to go sign somebody who can pitch for you and is not going to get run over. And we're not ready. We're not going to here to ruin. Throw a 19-year-old to the wolves. We're not ready to do that.
Right.
So you need to sign somebody. 3 years, $10 million, that's not a lot of money. And you say maybe at year 3 for $9 million, because it's 11 mil, 8 mil, or whatever, how it works out, right? Maybe on year 3, Lance Lynn is your 4th starter and everything's okay. You're just finding
in a fucking utopia world.
Well, that's the Rangers' goal is to have a lot of young guys in year 3, and maybe you do need a veteran.
I mean, and they're trying to make some more moves, I think, for some draft and cash consideration. I mean, they've already said that, I don't even know why I'm forgetting his name. He's the worst fucking guy, and he was the number 1 prospect.
Oh, Jerickson Profar.
Yeah, Profar. They're wanting to unload Profar like a motherfucker.
Well, this is... And I'm actually glad you brought that up because Profar, for me, I say, he's gonna be out of team control, right? He's gonna hit free agency or arbitration or whatever soon. It's about 2 years away.
Yes.
Go with Profar. Like, you've stuck him out this long. See what he can actually be when he's 29. See when he's peak, that's supposed to be your peak, right? Like when he finally...
Man, that fucker peaked in fucking
He
double.
He had a pretty good year last year. It wasn't that bad.
I mean, I guess when you throw him with the other schmucks that we had out on the
right, we had a lot of schmucks, and he wasn't very bad at all. So I think he can continue to progress. He's had a lot of injuries in the past. He had high expectations. So I think there's a chance to just roll with Profar, right? Keep rolling. I mean, right now his trade value is moderate. It's restored. It used to be 0,
right,
a year or 2 ago,
right.
So
you've got to work on it. I think we're a long way away. I think we're longer than 2 years out. I really do think.
Well, right, and that's the whole thing.
And it's really sad because we're sitting here looking at this.
You know who else is a long way? You know who else is a long ways away? All the guests of Lockhart's, to be honest.
Why you gotta shit talk people? But we're sitting here looking.
I'm saying, like, hey guys,
at a humongous fucking stadium being built.
Yeah, it's 7 p.m. Come to Lockhart's. It's a beautiful place. That's what I'm
7 saying. 7 p.m. Eric Nadell will be over here buying me some Don Julio's.
Yeah, we might be.
I just spent money on a book.
We'll be buying those Don Julio's, right? For him. So yeah, the Rangers traded Alex Claudio. We're talking about the draft picks. Mike Minor was rumored in a trade to the Phillies, maybe. There was a little bit of that rumbling, and that was essentially, hey, we've got a veteran guy who is had a good year, so his value's high, right? And are we going to ship that for more young guys? Well, again, we got to have actually a big league roster. You do actually have to have some guys, and you're not ready to put some of these 20-year-olds.
Right. I do want to voice, though, to Mr. Woodward. How do we pronounce his name?
Chris Woodward.
Woodward, yes.
The new manager.
There is a bullpen catcher on both Cold Beers and Curveballs. We'll take that spot. I'm really good with young pitchers. Work well with them.
Whatever.
But that's where we're at. No, this is a great place. This is the Cold Beers and Curveballs Christmas party we've got going on. We got pictures inside of a fucking wreath with 2 other grown-ass men.
Right.
Just having a good time out here. Texas Live is the place to be, dude.
Yeah, give it up for Jennifer. Was a great bartender. Lockhart's is always a great place to go. There's tacos from Guy Fieri. There's Pudge Rodriguez pizzas. There's
Corey and
Aikman. Blah blah blah. Everything's here.
Corey and I tried to sneak onto a stage.
We almost had it if we could keep a straight face.
Corey
couldn't keep a straight face, and he wasn't down with the shenanigans. He was down, but he was running away. But
I got warrants, dude.
There was a stage set up, and we were like, "Hey, we're gonna do the podcast
right here." Is this a baseball podcast?
Just convince people that that's what's supposed to be happening tonight.
Right.
We're here to bring you a crowd.
I feel like we've gotten to the point.
Yeah, that's it.
It's New Year, New Me, right? Coming up 2019. What is in store for Cold Beers and Curveballs?
Chase has been talking about hooking up with Grubes. Michael Gruber. He does some Stars stuff, and he's been out with the Frisco Rough Riders.
Yes.
And we got. Hopefully, we're going to get with Emily Jones on Saturday. We're going to get with Jamie Newberg, Chuck Morgan coming up for the next year.
Chuck Morgan is on the slate for next season.
Right. We're scheduling all these Rangers guys getting in. Eric Nadell was kind of broke that dam open. Right. He was so gracious to have us, and he's talking to Chuck Morgan.
I think we'll have him again.
Right. And Sandler. Right. Have Eric Nadell number 2. Get Sandler on. Right.
Right.
And, just have a good time. And
that one I won't be able to be there because I know Sandler's sitting in the seat next to take over.
Right.
And I want to be in that seat.
Pretty clearly, right? Like
I want to be in that fucking seat.
That's the whole thing. Well, you got to keep working on that play-by-play career to get Sandler's seat.
Yeah, dude. I did my first games of basketball in about 11 years.
Hey, it's a long, slow ride, but hey, this podcast is going to accelerate that thing. You got a good resume.
It's a lot of fun.
Right?
We've also got more baseball coming to this area because this year we've got the Southwest League kicking off out in Royce City.
Hopefully
Dallas.
That works out that they
hopefully
get a full
hopefully
league.
They get a full league going. But we've got a lot of things, and it's been a lot of fun this season. I feel like first season was fun. Second season has been even more fun.
And hope springs eternal. Hey, year 3 is going to be when we take off. And, we're going to make all these connections.
I think podcasts are like marriages. Huh? I think podcasts are like marriages. If you can get through year 2, you're good. Patreon, we're going to kick off Patreon this season.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, like I said, episode 50.
50 episodes.
There was some stats, and I think it's under 10% of all podcasts have 50 episodes on iTunes.
Right.
So we've continued, and clearly, I think we appreciate all the listeners who know that we have a good product, and we have a good time with guys like Art James, right? Illustrator for this book, and we have a good time with Eric Nadell, and he gives us that look like I'm tired of you, but he also says, hey, let's go take a picture. This is fun.
Right.
And he tells us about his handlers, sort of like the
he's
PR team.
He's got his PR team that just kind of keeps him in.
Talks about how much wide they could have it. He knows. And
that's where I want to
your book. Thanks for the friendship, right? Like, he's a real dude, and we appreciate him. We appreciate our listeners.
2019, I need handlers.
Not Chelsea. So I don't think anybody's ever going to get a handle of you, Chase. I think that is all for our show tonight.
I think it is.
Let's wrap it up. Let's hit all the buttons. Let's save this and blow this popcorn stand.
I'm good with that. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. All right. So that was a good time. Thanks, everybody, for listening to us. And let's catch it maybe one more before the end of the year.
Right.
Because like we've been saying, hopefully we're going to get 10 minutes with Emily Jones. Everybody in North Texas reveres her. She's an excellent, on-field reporter, post-game reporter.
Oh, yes.
Chuck Morgan next year. So keep listening. Keep drinking a cold one. We appreciate everybody who's made it through 2018 with cold beers and curveballs. Chase, let's
enjoy this podcast less responsibly than you should enjoy your alcohol.
Absolutely.
New 2019.
Peace. Cheers.